What up everyone, it's your man Xman87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends X-Men 275 3-packs. That's part of their X-Men 60th anniversary line, so we'll take a look at both packs for review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! So going over a quick synopsis, the Uncanny X-Men issue 275 titled The Path Not Taken was released by Marvel back in April 1991 and was written by Chris Claremont along with Jim Lee as co-writer, penciler, and cover artist. The Starjammers, led by a mysterious warlord, forced their way on the Royal Behemoth flagship in order to turn back the Shi'ar throne to Lalandra. The X-Men, with the exception of Cyclops and Jean Grey, and the Starjammers fight against Deathbird and the Imperial Guard. Meanwhile, in the Savage Land, Rogue, Magneto, Kazar, Nick Fury, and the Shield fight to stop Zaladane from obtaining the magnetic power of the Earth's polar field. So now let's celebrate that issue with these 3-packs in figure form. Alright, we're going to lay things off with Gambit for the first X-Men 3-pack, and I gotta come straight out and say that this is the best Marvel Legends Gambit head sculpt they've put out. This Monami looks like he's going to be cool with you, but if you cross the line with him, he'll straight up rob you. He looks so... I love the eyes. I love the freaking eyes. That's what's selling me a lot on this face sculpt. Yeah, I like this one more than the last one that came out, as you can see there for comparison. And, oh yeah, this one by a landslide. I do like the hair sculpt on this one. This one is just blowing me away. And then the last one, oh hell yeah, look at that. This one had the stubs. The other one that I showed you didn't. This one doesn't have the stubs, so I bet with the new face print decal, they could really capture that nicely. So, oh yeah, this one, by a landslide, is the best Gambit head sculpt. And this one definitely has more of this hairstyle to match, so actually I'm going to do a head swap and see how this looks. And doing a head swaps with the Gambits, I feel like this head is way too big for this body. It's definitely meant for this body, as it's a bigger body, because you can see the older head sculpt on here is just too tiny. I mean, you could probably get away with it with certain angles, but this is the better swap because if you try to put this one on the retro one, it won't match since that one is in blue and the head wrap here is in black. Even when you look at the hair sculpt on the back, this is cut out more to be short and stringy, and this one's more long and stringy. Reminds me of those Play-Doh noodle strings. You know what I'm talking about? So even on the side, the ears look better. So they tackled this one much better this time, as the last one, the ears were painted on, and not this one. It's actually the headband that's painted on this time around, and they did a great job. Nice glossy work too. And this figure's on the X-Men body, which is just the Vulcan body retooled with the straps keyed in and the gloves that puff out more. And the Vulcan body is just the Vulcan body without the straps and such. So when you hear me say X-Men body, I'm referring to this. Now let's take a closer look at the new parts. He's got a choke collar right there, which is not sculpted on. It is removable, so you can remove that if you want. Here are the gloves, they puff out more. The straps right there at the wrist, which is not separate, it's all in one sculpt. He's got the legs right here with the straps keyed in, as you can see. Thigh swivel is right above the strap, and also the straps right here above the boot swivel, which it should have been. I feel like the swivel should have started at the top of the strap right here, just like the thigh swivel. You got the belt right here with the X-Men logo, which mine looks a little off-centered. Not too bad, but I don't know, something looks a little off. But that's it. He's got open hands right here, which, yeah, this has a gloss finish. This one has a matte finish. I don't know why. I hate seeing fingernails sculpted on gloves. The satchel is not new. We've seen this many times before, if you want to count that as an accessory, I guess. And this is how he stacks up next to his default costume, which was a new sculpt for this figure. And actually, this figure, the new one, is a lot beefier than this one. So, in terms of height, this one is taller, right? Let me put them side by side like that. Yeah, so this one is definitely taller. You definitely need to update this Gambit version with the pinless treatment, because, you know, the pins show right there, so you get the pink So the physiques don't match up, but they gotta get the most out of the new X-Men body they invested in, so I understand that. Now for accessories, he comes with his signature bow staff that you could fit in either open hand, and both these hands do have the vertical hinge on them. Then he has a card holding hand that has a kinetically charged card, and comparing it to the retro one, I like how this one is charged throughout with the heart on it, and this one has the spade. And lastly, he has the splayed out hands shooting out the cards, and I love that all the cards have the different symbols. So you have the one by itself that has the heart, this one is the club, this one is the diamond, and this one is the spade. And they're all aces too, so that's a really neat touch. Now to go over articulation, only gonna go over articulation once for the male body since they're all the same basically. And his head moves that far up, which is really good, good range. That far down, left, right, he does have some tilting action. His arms move that far up, so higher than a straight T pose. They move down all around. His butterfly joints can bring his arms close in to have his hands touch together, so that's really good. And they move that far back. You got the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. You got the wrist swivel and a vertical hinge. Ab crunch moves that far forward and that far back. He's got a waist swivel. Legs can move that far apart, pretty decent too. And his legs only move that far up. And he can't really kick that far back, so you're going to get an awkward, frontward split. His legs can rock around, thigh swivel, double jointed pinless legs, and oh man, close to heel to the butt. Oh yeah, heel to the Mona Me butt works. And then you got the boot swivel, and his ankles move up that far. They move down, and you can rock them all around. Now, I wanted to show you something cool, and you probably already saw it on my Instagram, is that I went ahead and put the Mafex Gambit jacket onto this figure, and I gotta say, it looks really, really cool. I love the posable jacket. Now, in the comic, he didn't have the jacket on. Well, he did, he just didn't put it on till very later in the issue, but they did it right here. Either way, if they gave the figure a jacket or not, I just think it's cool how Gambit looks without his jacket. And it's an opportunity to give us a very articulated Gambit figure. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, we all love Gambit with his jacket. And it's not Gambit without his jacket, at least in our mind's eye, right? But for me, I just love the way soft goods look on figures way more than plastic. Now, fun fact, they would have released a version of this Gambit with the jacket back in 2007 or 2008, I want to say, as he was part of the Toy Fair fan vote poll, and he was one of the contenders. He lost out to Sunfire, but I just wanted to note that out as some, Marvel Legends history fun fact. That was outdated, wasn't the right time. I'm glad that they found the right time to release this figure. While bulkier than his predecessor, this has the best Legends Gambit head sculpt, and being on the new X-Men body makes him more posable than his other Hasbro versions. Butterfly joints help out with that a lot as he needs that. His cards all decked out in aces, good accessories, and therefore I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. Next up is my man Banshee, and yo, I'm so excited for this one. Look at that head sculpt. Paul Harding just captured the Irish swagger for this figure. He has it. My God, this is beautiful. Look at those mutton chops right there. That smirk, that expression is just spot on. This is so Banshee. Oh, I love this. I like the highlights in the hair. This is beautiful, man. I can't praise this enough. And you got the collar piece right here that's keyed into the X-Men body, so that is really nice. And one thing I will say, this Banshee figure for me, or at least this costume, I like more than the green one. Now, that's not to say I like the green one at all. I love the green one, but as a kid, I had the blue and yellow version, this version of Banshee, from the 90s Toy Biz Vintage line. So I'm more attached to the colors for this one. Man, it looks so nice. I love the blue. We definitely need a green one though, don't get me wrong, and that green one will go in my main X-Men display. I'm keeping my X-Men 275 separate, but I'm just so glued, so attached to this color. The soft goods cape right here. Now, I love that they made it soft goods. I love it, but There's some things that really bothered me on the execution here, and it's that they stitched it up to these tabs right here, as you can see. And yeah, these tabs are sculpted onto the gloves, and you also get the tabs right here on the ribs and on the boots, so, or the straps at least. So this is really bothersome, man. This is an eyesore for me. It doesn't bother me in the front because it's not visible, but the fact that they have tabs here, this is just whack, man. This is really whack. Why didn't they just do it like Siren and Storm, where it's around the wrist? I can't remember how they did it in the Blob Wave, man, but I don't think the fabric was keyed on the obliques. I think it was just from wrist to boots, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the figure with me, so I can't, you know, compare it on hand. But I also remember, if I remember correctly, I think the bottom part was also keyed into the boots. Man, I just don't like these tabs. It's killing it for me. But again, same X-Men body. He still looks amazing. I love that no matter how you'll pose him, you know, it's not plastic, it's soft goods, so you'll get some really great poses out of him, you know what I mean? So you want those lunging, starting to fly off poses, you know, you'll get it real nice with this figure. So I'm very happy about that. And he has 2 fists for his default hands, and I love how the cape just folds down when you put him in vanilla pose. Really goes with the flow of the pose. I do like that. The only thing I don't like is that the back of the cape doesn't have the black stripes visible like the front does. So you get on the front but not the back, so it sucks. And with these tabs, if you're trying to take a photo, I definitely don't recommend taking a picture behind this guy, because it's just gonna look, yeah, you don't want to get this perspective with those tabs. You definitely gonna need to capture the frontal part of this figure. Now for accessories, the most important accessory he can include is an alternate screaming head, and this looks phenomenal. Look at the wrinkled folds on that expression at the top. It just complements that expression so well. The teeth are sculpted nicely. The eyes look good. The waves on his hairs look good. It's just, it looks good through and through. Something we should have gotten with the Siren figure is an alternate screaming head. So I'm happy we have one included in this set. And lastly, he has 2 open hands, same as Vulcan's. Again, not gonna cover articulation fully with this guy, but I feel like it's important to show you how his head moves up because of that collar piece, because you want to put this guy in flying poses if he has his yelling head displayed, and there you have it. So it does look up a decent amount. Banshee is excellent. The only thing holding it back from a perfect score are those tabs. Both head sculpts are superb, along with the soft goods cape for posing. He gets a 9.5 out of 10. I'm just gonna say it, hands down, Sidelock is the best female figure out of the X-Men 275 ladies. I mean, she could execute the simplest poses, and they just look incredible with her. So let's definitely take a closer look at this figure, because I think you're really gonna love the head sculpt on this. Okay, this may very well be the best Sidelock head on any 6-inch figure. I mean, this just looks beautiful. Look at the side here. I think it really looks like her, man. I love the face print deco. I think it made a big difference for her likeness. She's got the purple eyebrows, the dark lipstick, the eyeliner's on point, even some purple eyeshadow on there. The hair is beautifully brushed, man. You get those purple highlights, the black wash in it. I think I like this more than the Mafex one. Let me see. Maybe it's too close to tell. Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I like this way more than the Mafex one. Holy crap. I think this one looks better, even from the side. Oh, yeah. I think this is definitely the best Sidelock, because the Marvel Legends one was, yeah. This ain't it. Yeah, it's no contest here. You got the choke collar there. You know, new torso piece, I think, or it's the same as Shriek, but you got the double jointed arms, the puffed out gloves, and the the straps on the gloves right there. Again, same as the males where they're sculpted in one piece. You got her open hands to hold her swords. Cake right there. So you got the thighs, more meaty thighs, the thicker thighs. I do like that. So X-Men female body with the straps keyed in on the thighs and on the boots right there. And you got her belt right there, which the logo looks more centered on this one, and the paint job is spot on, so I do like that. For accessories, she comes with her charged up katana and some flame effects wrapped around it that's removable. Then we get a karate chopping hand for her right side, and then a closed fist for her left side with her side blade that can attach to it. Now, to cover articulation for the X-Men female body, her head moves that far up, so that is good range. Down, left, right, and then you can really tilt nicely too. Her arms move that far up, higher than a straight T-pose. You can move them down, swing them around. I wish she had butterfly joints, which reminds me that they need to update a 90s Jim Lee Sidelock in that new super articulated Black Widow style, because she definitely needs butterfly joints and a double diaphragm joint, and is much needed for the character. After all, she's a ninja, she needs to move. Got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, wrist swivel, and a wrist hinge. The torso surprisingly has some decent range there, but she needs an ab crunch to go with it, and it moves that far back. It does swivel and it pivots. You can rock it around. You got her legs that move that far apart. She kicks up real high, which is important, and kicks that far back. Her legs can rock around, thigh swivel, double jointed pinless knees, and oh, so close, but no heel to the Sidelock butt. And her ankles move up that far, down real low, and you can rock them all around. And if you wanted to see a head swap to see the new head on the 90s body, here you go. And it sits too low, to be honest, and is really loose. And also the skin tones don't match, so this won't work out. They definitely need to update a 90s Jim Lee Sidelock for us. Sidelock is another figure here that has the best head sculpt of her character in Legends form. While her head sculpt isn't Jim Lee accurate all the way, judging it as a standalone head sculpt only, without any outside references, then it looks better to me. While Mafex looks more anime-ish than comic, it is closer to Jim Lee and better than Selects. I held a vote poll between the Legends and Mafex on my Instagram. The community voted for Legends as the winner. Good accessories here and loving the X-Men female body. I rate her a 9.5 out of 10. Alright, now that we ended the last 3-pack with a female, we're gonna kick off this next 3-pack with a female, and that is Storm. And she is sporting the short hair, which looks really, really nice. I like the bangs in the front too. That looks cool. Yeah, overall, this is a really nice face sculpt. And if you can tell, the face print deco made something interesting with the eyes here. You can see she has two different color tones of white pupils there. So I prefer it to be all white like in this one here. But, you know, for a change, I don't mind it for just this one figure. And the lightning bolt earrings came out much better on this one too. They're a little bit longer. The older ones were a lot shorter. So overall, I think this is a really good Storm head sculpt. And the body is the X-Men female body, which we just covered with Sidelock, so there's no need for me to extensively cover more of it. And also, since it's the same body, no need for me to cover articulation. But before I go into accessories, I did want to try a head swap with this one and the 90s Jim Lee Storm. Alright, and here are the two swapped. I think they look good, especially this one. Only thing is, same problem with Sidelock, is the head is real loose. Also, the neck skin tone is much darker than the face skin tone, so there's that. Well, other than that, looks good in my opinion. Along with her fist, she has open hands, and I don't think we're ever gonna get a set of newly sculpted hands for the females other than this. It's been this since forever ago, man. Also, I think I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about the female X-Men body that the gloves here are not keyed into the sculpt. They are actually a separate piece, but the straps are definitely keyed in. And lastly, she has her Emperor Palpatine hands. Storm, along with Sidelock, shines on this new X-Men female buck. Acceptable hand options and head sculpt from the source material makes this a strong offering. She gets a 9.5 out of 10. Next up, we'll take a look at Storm's ex-boyfriend, Forge. And this one has the face print deco unlike the last one. And I don't know how I feel about this head sculpt yet. I'm kind of leaning towards the older one right here. I'm not sure. So, the older one went from looking like Danny Trejo to this new one looking like Freddie Mercury. I think maybe I like the older one just because it has a meaner look. Whereas this new one looks like he's sad. Looks like he's about to cry. So, I think I'm favoring the older one a lot more. And in terms of height, the new Forge is definitely a lot taller too. We all know that's mainly because of the new X-Men body here. One other flaw I notice is that the sideburns are in a glossy deco. Why the hell is that? Because that looks terrible. You know, it looks like his sideburns are wet. Yeah, and the rest of his hair is a matte finish. So I don't get that. Again, X-Men male body with a few add-ons. He's got the shoulder straps right there. He's got the fists, you know, his belt. The leg here actually, surprisingly, is a new sculpt. So it is not the same as the older one. And as you can see, and I'll zoom in for you, look at the top hip part right there. There are more intricate designs going on this older hip than on this new one. And if you look on the side right here, you can see there is circuitry work going here. So you'll see some cables and wires, whereas this one doesn't. And it's a lot beefier, you know. It's definitely sculpted to match this leg. So it's not just a straight up, you know, repaint. And that's pretty cool. And also, I noticed that there is some shadow work here, highlighting the muscles right there. Which is cool, but I would have preferred if they just completely dry brushed the circuitry here to bring out those nice details. That would have been much more appreciated. Also, why the hell is there pins right here on the bottom? Because again, it's newly sculpted. It's not a straight up reuse. You can tell it's different. Again, there's more thin muscles here, and the muscles right here are a lot thicker and bulgier, I guess. And yeah, dude, what the hell, Hasbro? You had one job, just this one pin. You couldn't just make it pinless. This is actually more annoying than if the arms were completely pinless and the legs both had pins. Because you literally have just the one leg with a pin. That is so annoying. And you can sit there and say I'm bitching about pins, but come on, from an aesthetic standpoint, if all three limbs are pinless and you have the one limb with a pin, come on. Am I really wrong here? No. I just gotta call out the flaws, man. Again, not covering articulation on this guy, but if you want to see how that knee bends, then he can bend it really well, almost heel to the butt right there. For accessories, he has a right trigger hand with a vertical hinge, this long rifle, and he has an open hand with a much wider grip for the left side. Forge is a strange one here because some of the odd choices made, like painting glossy sideburns and having only one leg with pins that they clearly tooled from scratch while the rest of his limbs were pinless. Again, weird. He just needed a newer head sculpt that looks meaner. He looks too soft. Therefore, I'm rating him a generous 7 out of 10. Alright, not gonna lie, kinda saved the worst for last, and that's Jubilee in my opinion. Out of the set, she is definitely the weakest one. So, what they did here was give her the teenage body, but they didn't update it. They gave her new teenage legs, so you got the straps keyed in, and it's pinless, so that's new. But the rest of the body is just the old teenage body. This would have been a great opportunity to introduce a new female teenage buck that's all pinless, you know. But it is reused from the older Jubilee. As you can see, those are older gloves right there. Also, the arms have this springing action. As I'm moving it around, it has a stopping point. Same with this arm. So the quality is pure shit on this because I've never experienced anything with a Hasbro figure where I'm rotating the arms and it has this springing resistance between the ratchets. It's horrible. It shouldn't be doing this at all. Face sculpt looks pretty good. She's got the face print tech and she looks a little cross-eyed though. So let me put the glasses on her. That way we can cover up some of the some of those wonky eyes. So yeah, that looks better, much better. For accessories, she's got an alternate head with her bubble gum blowing out, and this is my favorite head for Jubilee to display. You could put the visors on that. Just looks so cool. Then along with fists, she has her open hand, same as the older Jubilee. And this one has the vertical hinge on it. The other one has the regular hinge. The twirling flame effects that we've seen 100 times before, just in a two-tone gradient color from a pink to purple, which they really need to give her more fireworks looking effects than flames. All right, for articulation, it's not that fun to articulate her at all, but her head does move up a lot and it moves down a good amount. Left, right, it does pivot, kind of rocks around too. Her arms move that far up, which is really good. Moves down, but I showed you the problem with moving the entire arm around like that. Single jointed elbows, and that's all you're gonna get, you know. And it's got an elbow swivel right there, and she's got the wrist swivel, vertical wrist hinge on this hand. The torso it just can't move forward. It does move back. Head's popping out again, whatever, man. And then it swivels here, it pivots a little bit, but it is rough to kind of move that. The legs spread that far apart, and they do kick up that high, and they barely move back. You got the legs that can rock around and the thigh swivel. You got the double jointed pinless legs right there, so you can see how they bend. And you have the, oh no boot swivel. Ankles that move that far up, down, and they rotate around. Jubilee is the worst of the bunch with only the new pinless female teenage legs to show for. Nothing else new here, not even a new head. The quality and articulation is one of the worst I've ever dealt with in the line. I'm rating her a 4 out of 10. Now for some comparisons, here is 275 Gambit next to his retro figure and his regular 90s version. Here is 275 Banshee next to his daughter Siren. Here is 275 Sidelock next to the 90s regular version of Sidelock. While this new Sidelock head sculpt isn't 100% Jim Lee, her head sculpt really screams J. Scott Campbell's art out more to me. Here is 275 Storm next to her regular 90s version. Here is 275 Forge next to his regular 90s version. If you are clever enough or talented enough to swap some parts out, then you can kit bash an updated 90s version of Forge, since it's basically the same costume. Here is 275 Jubilee next to her regular 90s version. And lastly, X-Men 275 Wolverine, which I already reviewed with the rest of the X-Men Retro Wave. So here he is next to the rest of the squad to finish our 275 team cover. And this right here is everything to me, because as a diehard X-Men fan, I'm extremely thrilled to have this team completed, and I'll tell you why. Not just because I want to complete all the X-Men teams, but because there are 3 X-Men teams I have wished to complete for the longest time. Number 1 being the 90s Jim Lee X-Men Blue and Gold teams. Number 2 is the Whedon Cassidy Astonishing X-Men team, which the 80s team is also tied with for me in that spot. Then the 3 is right here, and that's the X-Men 275 team. Having that comic and seeing all of them uniformed with matching colors was just excitingly stimulating to the eye. Plus, it has my favorite Banshee look. So seeing all of these together makes me feel fulfilled as I was when reading that comic. And holy crap, I just noticed something as I put Wolverine out here, and no wonder why there was something off with the belts to me before. That's because Wolverine's belt is sculpted and the rest aren't. Don't know what was the decisive factor there to having this one be the only one sculpted out of the team, but that surely is an odd choice. Alright, so get ready for this, because what I'm about to show you I think is the best thing to me. So I hope you stuck around for this long, because I know it was a lengthy video, but I hope this makes up for it. And remember the 90s Toy Biz Vintage line? That Morph figure had a couple of heads, but the main body was just like the X-Men 275 costume. So what I'm about to do is pay homage to that 90s figure and swap this head with one of the male bodies. And I have not done this yet, so I was waiting for it now to, you know, share this experience with y'all, and y'all can like hear my reaction to it. So the best body choice to do it with wouldn't be Banshee or Forge, because Banshee has the cape and the collar, Forge has the cybernetic leg. It has to be Gambit. Yes, I know he has the black neck piece right here that's painted, but none of the extra stuff like a cape or a cybernetic leg. It has a plain body to it. So let's do this all together and pay homage to that 90s Toy Biz figure, because that 90s Toy Biz figure, that morph had a couple of heads. It included like Wolverine, Cyclops, I forgot who the other one was, but you could basically have a X-Men 275 Wolverine with that figure. And oh man, yes, dude, this is it right here. This is the only kit bash I ever need to do in my life. This is the only kit bash that matters to me. Oh wow, this is it. This is everything to me right here. Yep, this is my homage to the 90s Toy Biz morph. Oh wow, I'll have to post this on my Instagram later on after this review. And oh, wow, this is awesome. Evil head morph on this. Oh man, this is beautiful. And this is a great way to display morph without the jacket. And wow, this pack was already worth it to me, and now it's just even worth more that I can do this. And now to wrap things up, my final rating as a collective unit is a very strong 8.75 out of 10. Again, I feel like I have to repeat myself several times when it comes to X-Men sets like this, but if you are not a diehard X-Men fan or a team builder, then this set is not for you. So I don't want to hear some collectors complain that Hasbro locked Banshee behind an expensive set, therefore they feel forced to buy the set or go on eBay and buy it separately. Bro, those are the same collectors that'll buy it that way and complain why Hasbro didn't make the green one instead. Then you should have never bought it in the first place. They never forced you to buy it if you chose to buy it at your own will. Just wait for the green one to release, as you know they're going to make it after this now. Don't buy the blue if you want the green. Buying something you don't want is pointless and a waste of money. Makes no sense, especially if you're only going to buy only one without the rest of the team to match. Why invest in something you can't complete? It's just fake outrage to me, so don't be that guy. But just speaking in general, this is not targeted at you directly, so don't take it to heart. But that's on them if they choose to do that. How else were they going to release a 275 Banshee? I think they went about these packs the right way to knock out the team quicker. I'm both a diehard X-Men fan and a hardcore team builder. That's just me. So I'm not reviewing this set for you or anybody else. I'm reviewing this set for me because, well, one, I wanted to, but mainly because I love X-Men and I love this 275 team, as this was on my wish list of teams. Sure, it's an expensive set, not gonna front as I don't agree with the price, but at the same time, I'm not cheap with my money when it comes to something I really want and love. So that's why I didn't factor in price and just focused solely on the team representation in figure form. I think these sets came with a good amount of accessories to play and display. Banshee and Sidelock are my favorites, but I love the rest, minus Jubilee. The Toy Biz homage to Morph really got me. That enhanced the collector and hobby experience for me. It's a rewarding feeling to complete this team, and if you are a hardcore X-Men fan like me, then you're going to love the way this team stands out in your collection, and it's one of the best looking uniform teams that they've ever done. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of these 3 packs? Who's your favorite figure from the sets? What's the next team that they should complete using these 2 sets of 3 packs method? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.